I love Summer Game Showcase season since there are always new games being announced, so let's see what's new in the Metroidvania genre, beginning with Akatori, where we just got a developer update that this is still in development and apparently got a visual overhaul, but not much else was shown with regards to this. The first of many new announcements is Heart Abyss, one that is set in feudal Japan and interestingly seems to be melee combat focused where our protagonist battles with his hands. The character also appears to be a kitsune or fox spirit, escaping captivity and taking revenge on his captors, where I do see a little bit of Katana Zero in this. However, the game's description does talk about two playable characters as well as freedom of improvisation, of whether to strike high or low and of which entrance you can choose to enter from, where the game's description does talk about it just having a slice of Metroidvania, so it might lean more in the 2D action platformer direction. You don't usually expect Metroidvanias to show up in the Wholesome Direct, since these are usually combat focused, but that showcase was perfect for Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland, a beautiful hand-drawn title that just looks adorable and is set in a world of dreams. The character Little Nemo has gone into the public domain, so there are a number of such games in development, where this looks to be one of the more promising entries, where you're using tools and toys like a pogo stick or yo-yo as the Metroidvania abilities, and refreshingly doesn't seem to be combat focused, although there does still seem to be a little bit of that in this. Another new announcement is Ultros, one that I'm not quite sure what to make of since it is a self-described psychedelic Metroidvania, and psychedelic it is, especially with the colour palette chosen and how busy everything is on screen. You're trapped on something known as the Sarcophagus, a location that is said to be trapping an ancient demonic being where you have to get your bearings and to find a way to escape. It looks impressive, but as I mentioned, it's pretty busy visually, so I'm concerned about how readable enemies and the combat will be, but where this has an interesting setting and setup which makes it one to watch.
I'm going to tell you a story about three extraordinary spirits united to face the darkness.
We did get another look at the Spirits of the Samurai, one that reuses some footage which I've certainly seen before, but as a grimdark 2D samurai action title, we are able to switch between three different characters in two different realms, a samurai, a baby alien thing, as well as a cat, using them in appropriate situations. The 2D combat looks awesome, where this game utilizes stop motion or limited frames animation, which gives it a very interesting feel, but the concern would be how responsive the game feels to play, so I'll be keeping an eye on this.
Three incredible warriors defying fate and even death. I, Kitsune, spirit of the forest, was a witness and a part of it.
Rune Fencer Illyia did show up at the Future Games Direct, where I don't think that this is new footage per se, but a remix of what they showed off for their Kickstarter campaign, which was very successful by the way, being a pretty good one to look forward to. Our heroine crash lands in enemy territory and wakes up to find that her sister who was travelling with her was kidnapped, so it is up to you to rescue her and to get back home. The Rune system, as hinted at by the title, is the main mechanic. We are able to use these Rune abilities in both combat and traversal. There are additional mechanics like fishing and cooking in addition to the combat, where it looks well made and should be out next year. A game which I covered in my own summer showcase is Obsidian Legion, a grimdark 2D Souls-like Metroidvania title that looks awesome, but the deliberate combat must be right if this game was to have any chance of success. Unfortunately, the Steam store page is rather generic and doesn't give us much context, where you play as a scout sent to investigate mysterious happenings on a small island state, where your quest eventually sets you on a path to seek out the Obsidian Legion. What that is, however, I have no idea, but if you enjoyed games like Salt and Sanctuary, this is one to watch. Another freshly revealed title is Altered Alma, a pixel art Metroidvania that just looks so sleek, set in Neo Barcelona in the future and has a cyberpunk theme. It self-describes as a space opera Metroidvania where you have the ability to upgrade your own ship and to recruit crew members, where the minute-to-minute action looks awesome. If the setting seemed familiar, that is because this comes to us from Too Awesome Studio, developer of Aeon Drive, which seems to be very similar to this new game, but as a 2D precision platformer, where the teleporting knife mechanic is seen in both games, so hopefully they have learned their lessons from there. Another game from my showcase is Emberbane, a pixel art title that is basically Avatar: The Last Airbender in all but name, where our heroine is facing off against malevolent gods in order to restore balance to the world. You are able to use water, earth, fire and air, both in traversal and combat, mixing things up which provides plenty of variety. The combo system and seamlessly switching between the different forms looks fun, where there appears to be some challenging precision platforming sections woven in as well, where they are currently finishing up their Kickstarter campaign as this video goes live, so do check it out for last minute support. Another new review is Ebenezer and the Invisible World, one where you play as Ebenezer Scrooge of A Christmas Carol fame, but reimagined, where you're calling upon various ghosts to help save the people of London from an ultra-wealthy industrialist before it's too late. It is set in Victorian London with period-appropriate environments, but where ghosts give the developer the flexibility to get creative with abilities and enemies. There are movement ghosts, which unlock your Metroidvania traversal abilities, as well as side quests and story missions to accomplish for each ghost, where the hand-drawn art looks very good as well. This next title also stands out due to its pixel art, where being and becoming is set in a very eerie location, reminding me of Hello Nest from Hollow Knight, where the kingdom has fallen into ruin after having been corrupted by something known as the Collective Dream, where you play as the lucid dreamer with the ability to consume the souls of the corrupted and to use it to release the world from endless slumber. As a result, it has a fascinating premise where consumed spirits can then be summoned in battle to fight alongside with you, so perhaps there's a bit of Ender Lilies in this as well, but my god, the pixel art in this is top of class and looks so good. Surprise! This is not an indie game since Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is made by Ubisoft of all people, but unlike its more recent entries, it is not a third-person action-adventure game, but rather a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. Ubisoft's open-world sprawl has not appealed to me in a long time, so it's interesting to see them try something different. But I'm not quite expecting Metroid Dread with this, but it's good to see more innovation and risk-taking in the space. I think that top-down Metroidvanias are an interesting concept, where I have always associated the genre with being side-scrolling and don't even really consider first-person titles to qualify, but perhaps games like mini-shoot adventures can change my mind, since this shoot-'em-up title looks awesome. I guess the core concept of ability gating is my main sticking point, where getting items or upgrades to open a gate is not sufficient in my opinion, since that's what Doom keycards do, where things like double jumps or ground pounds can be then worked into combat. So I guess I'm waiting to see if that is present here, but this game reminds me of The Night Witch from 2022, which is good, so keep an eye on this.
My name is Cherry. I'm different than that mass-produced junk.
We got a new trailer for Cookie Cutter, a bloody and violent combat-focused title where you play as an android on a quest to rescue her creator from an insane enemy.
I was built to entertain my creator. Lately, I can't understand what I feel anymore.
The hand-drawn art and fluid animations are the draw here, where our heroine has a chainsaw as her weapon of choice, among various other deadly implements, also being able to go full android mode for maximum damage.
They will pay for what they did to her.
Unfortunately, no release date was confirmed, but they did end off with summer 2023, so it should be out in the next few months.
Pablo? あなたのことはしっかりと見てるわよ、探偵さん。何せあなたにはこの世界を変えてしまうような特別な力があるのだから。私に協力しなさい。あなたの才は貴重よ。短い人生だもの、使わない手はないでしょう。賢明な決断を期待してるわよ。
I was so confused when I came across this game since it has pixel art but Japanese voiceover for a game based on Mexican culture, so I'm not sure why that was done, but Mariachi Legends is the next game from the developer of 9 Years of Shadows, so of course I'm in, retaining their signature pixel art style, although we only have a teaser right now, but is still one to watch. This new trailer for Bow Path of the Teal Lotus was revealed a little while back during a Humble Games showcase, also serving as a publisher announcement, where I'll skip past the gorgeous animated intro to show off the game, where the hand-painted look based on Japanese art and folklore is very impressive indeed. Enemies and the world itself draw upon Japanese culture, where our protagonist, a celestial blossom fox, has to find out what role it has to play in the world and in an ancient and mysterious ritual. You can see some Hollow Knight influence in this, although it is not as blatant a copy as some of the other games that I have covered before, where you wield a shape-shifting bow staff as the primary weapon. But the game continues to look awesome, so look forward to this in 2024. Another new reveal is Laika Age Through Blood, one that gets on the board since it's unique more than anything, being a self-described Metroidvania where you're exploring a post-apocalyptic wasteland on your motorbike, complete with tricks and all. It looks interesting with a great hand-drawn art style as well, where I do wonder how finicky it will be to control, especially since you're firing off guns in mid-air as well. But of note is that this comes to us from developer Brainwash Gang, who just released the very successful Friends vs Friends and also made the super unique non-guns, so this game is worth a watch. Rounding up the new releases is Crypt Custodian, the second title that made me question the whole top-down Metroidvania thing, where the developer of this did kindly reach out with an email to share his game and gave an interesting answer, and that while it looks like a top-down 2D Zelda-style action-adventure game, this has platforming and ability gating like a Metroidvania, which is why he chose this description. Yes, you heard that right, you can jump in this, where there are even platforming challenges like disappearing platforms to contend with, on top of the interconnected world that we have all come to know and love. The art is wonderful and reminds me of their previous title, Isolates, looking to be another unique game worth a try. Another promising upcoming title is Tevi, primarily because of its pedigree, since this comes to us from a Taiwanese developer who's best known for Rebi Ribi, an underrated bullet hell Metroidvania, where this new game looks to be a much polished up version of that in so many ways, especially visually, since their previous title released 7 years ago. Not too much is revealed based on their Steam store page, where it just talks about battling away through an interconnected world that is marked by strife, uncovering secrets along the way. Still, there appears to be plenty of variety in environments and enemies, and should also be a 2023 release.
A new dawn is at hand. The secret has been snatched in the hands of the sordid. But one rises above all others. A blessed curse, the sweetness of the flame.
In case you missed it, we got a new look at the gothic horror pixel art Metroidvania The Last Faith, one of my most anticipated games since it just looks awesome, being the modern equivalent of Castlevania if that series continued into the modern age while retaining its pixel art. The variety of bosses and enemies that you will encounter looks great, but this has a story setup similar to Bloodborne, set in a corrupted city where the inhabitants have been turned into monsters. The combat is the highlight and continues to look great, where the announcement here is that they have a release month of October 2023, but not a specific date, so we'll see if it releases and might be a Game of the Year contender. I stated at the start of the year that 2023 will be the year of the Metroidvania, but with perhaps some false starts and delays, was looking to be proven wrong, but things have a funny way of turning around with the reveal and now confirmation of a release date of Blasphemous 2. This is the sequel to an excellent game from 2019, where it's a grim, dark and gory title that draws upon the Catholic faith, with the main theme of penance featuring front and center. You play as the same main character named the Penitent One in his never-ending quest to destroy something known as the Miracle, where apparently changes in this includes different weapons and playstyles depending on what you choose, like a Soulsborne game, where it releases in August and might just join the best of all time list right here.